Okay, Shima girls, well, let's get right down to it. The question is trimming our hair necessary for hair growth? Okay, so I get this question asked a lot by a lot of newbie Shima girls and also some advanced Shima girls. They are very curious to know, is it really necessary to trim our hair to get our hair to grow? Now, all the time I like to, say that our hair is already growing. Automatically our hair is growing. So whether you trim your hair or not, it's not gonna really stop it from growing. It's gonna continue to grow. Although it's gonna grow, all straggly, all thinned out and damaged if the split ends persist. Meaning if you don't cut off those split ends. So the answer to that question is simple. Yes, trimming our hair is very important, but not necessarily to make our hair grow. It is important to keep our hair healthy so that it can continue to grow. Okay, so it's going to continue to accumulate into noticeable hair length. The healthier our ends remain, the longer our hair is going to grow. All right, if we leave our hair, all split, all damaged, it's counterproductive, ladies. Okay, our hairs will continue to grow, but it will stay at that same length, whether it be shoulder length or ear length, wherever most of your split ends are, whatever length it is, that's the length it's going to remain. So now, with that said, I would like to go over some very important facts because we need to keep certain things in mind. Although it's important to trim our hair, trimming our hair too frequently is actually unnecessary because that's how we begin to cut off the length that we've, achieved. So it's very important not to trim our hair too frequently, meaning once every week is too frequently, once every 2 weeks is too frequently, once every 3 weeks is too frequently, even sometimes once every 4 weeks is too frequently. Okay. Now, with that said, I would like to speak about trimming our hair too infrequently. Okay, so in other words, if we allow a long time to pass and there's split ends there, again, that's counterproductive and it's going to stop our hair from getting any longer if we don't cut off those split ends. Now notice how I'm saying cut off. What I really mean is to cut off any damaged, super damaged ends, because sometimes, all we really do need is a simple hair trim, to cut off the split ends. But sometimes the hair is so beyond damaged that you have to cut off a few inches, whether it be 1, 2, or even 3 inches or more. Because if you leave your hair like that, it's gonna stay at that same length, and it's gonna look, terrible, because split ends makes our hair look very dull, very lifeless, and very unattractive. And with that said, Shima girls, the less damage our hair endures, the less we're gonna have to trim it. So this is why it's so important to always be Shima oiling, always be using our protective styles, because that is going to preserve our hair and stop it from getting damaged at least 99.9% of the time. And that's guaranteed. Okay. So in theory, if our hair never gets damaged, we basically will never have to trim it. But I'm not going to go that far because we are humans and there's always going to be a little bit of breakage here and there, a little bit of split ends. We're just human. But basically what I'm trying to say, the more we keep our hair protected and moisturized, the less we're going to have to trim it. Okay. So that means, we don't have to trim it every 4 weeks. We could, go as long as, 8 weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks. I personally have gone as long as 2 months or 2.5 months without having to trim my ends because I'm constantly keeping my hair in a protective style, especially my Shima bun. Okay, so I don't know if you've already noticed this, but when you unravel your hair from a protective style, you see how healthy, how shiny, how lovely your ends look, meaning that they're not damaged. Okay, 99.9% of those ends are not damaged after you remove from a protective style because it's not exposed to the air, it's not exposed to your hands, it's not exposed to hair combs. You see, so that's the bottom line. The less we manipulate our hair, the healthier our hair is going to remain. Okay, so it's very important, Shima girls. Please remain consistent with your Shima oiling. Please remain consistent with your protective styling and with your gentle handling. All of that goes hand in hand. Everything that I have taught you goes hand in hand with keeping our ends healthy. Okay, so that way you don't really have to be bothered so much about trimming your ends. And remember, ladies, that I teach you how to trim your ends in my Shima Hair Wash Day DVD, because that's extremely important that you know exactly how to trim your ends. And with that said, I explain, that you don't have to trim your ends in a perfect cut, because I've seen a lot of ladies that that they when they trim their ends, they're trying to create this perfect cut. That's not necessary. All you're doing is search and destroy. There's a term called search and destroy. Search the damaged split ends and destroy them. Cut them off with a scissor. All right, so that's what we're basically doing. We're not creating a style here. All right. And with that said, also trimming our ends will give our hair a healthier, neater look, a healthier feel, and our hair will also appear thicker, because the split ends are gone. They're no longer there. And how does this happen? Well, because split ends, ladies, they are more rougher, because the cuticles are basically raised, and those raised cuticles, they hang on to other hair, and that's how they start damaging our other healthier hair. They grip onto those hairs much more easily, and they cause you all these tangles and knots. Okay, so it's just very important that we get rid of those split ends, ladies. We have to, because it's gonna be counterproductive. It's gonna get in the way of our fairy to mythical hair length dreams, ladies. So let's trim those ends, and and with that said, please keep those protected styles in place, so that you will have less ends to trim, because that's less work. Less ends we have to trim, that's less work for you, and you're gonna be so much more happier that things are going fast. So that's gonna make your hair growth journey much more easier. All right. Okay, so I hope that this video has helped a lot of you ladies understand why trimming our ends is very important. And yes, it is important to get our hair to grow longer. Okay, so the answer is yes, it is very necessary to trim our ends so that our hair can grow longer and remain healthy. All right, ladies, I'll see you soon. Have a blessed one. Take care.